You know that feeling when you stand up from your favorite chair and for a second, everything feels fine, and then you take 2 steps toward the kitchen, and your chest tightens just a little, or maybe your jaw aches for no reason, or your left arm feels heavy. Most people brush it off. They say to themselves, I just slept wrong. I'm just getting older. It's probably nothing. But here's what I've learned after speaking with thousands of seniors over the years. Those small signs your body sends you are rarely nothing. And when it comes to your arteries, the road that carries blood to your heart and your brain, the warning signs often show up in ways that have nothing to do with chest pain. That's what makes this so dangerous. You don't feel your arteries slowly narrowing. You don't feel the plaque building up year after year. You only feel it when something has already gone wrong. If you've ever worried about your heart health, or if you've been told your cholesterol is creeping up, or if you just want to stay independent and active for as long as possible, I want you to stay right here. Because today, we're going to talk about something most cardiologists wish their patients understood earlier. 7 specific foods that can silently damage your artery health, especially after age 60. And I promise you, some of these are going to surprise you. My name is connected to this channel, Dr. Silas Redford Wellness, and we exist for one reason: to give you the honest, clear, human information that too often gets buried under confusing medical jargon and rushed office visits. Today, we're talking about your arteries. And by the end of this, you're going to know exactly what to put on your plate and what to push aside. Before we go any further, if you find value in what we share here, please take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe. It costs you nothing, and it helps us reach other seniors who are quietly worrying about their heart health at night. We're building a community here, and we're glad you're part of it. Let me tell you about a man named Frank. Frank was 72 years old, a retired construction worker from Michigan. He'd worked hard his whole life. He ate what his wife cooked. He didn't smoke. He wasn't overweight. And yet, one Tuesday morning while he was shaving, he felt a strange pressure in his chest that radiated up into his jaw. It lasted maybe 2 minutes and then went away. Frank told himself it was indigestion. He finished shaving, ate his breakfast, and went about his day. What Frank didn't know was that his arteries had been slowly narrowing for over a decade, not because of the big obvious things like bacon and butter, but because of the small everyday foods he never thought twice about. Foods his doctor never warned him about. Foods that are still sitting in most seniors' kitchens right now. Here's what most people get wrong about artery health. They think it's all about cholesterol. Lower your cholesterol, protect your heart. But that's only a small piece of a much larger picture. The real damage to your arteries comes from inflammation. Think of inflammation like a slow, silent fire burning inside your blood vessels. That fire weakens the walls of your arteries. It creates tiny cracks and rough spots. And into those rough spots, cholesterol and calcium and other particles start to stick, like leaves collecting in a crack in the sidewalk. Over time, those collections grow into plaque, and plaque is what narrows your arteries and leads to heart attacks and strokes. The question nobody asks is, what's fueling that fire? What's causing the inflammation in the first place? And that's where these 7 foods come in, because most seniors are eating some of these every single day, completely unaware that they're adding fuel to that fire. Let me start with the first one, and I already know some of you won't believe this. Fruit juice. Not soda, not sugary candy. Fruit juice. The kind that says 100% pure, no sugar added, naturally sweet. Here's what the juice companies don't want you to know. When you squeeze or juice a fruit, you strip away almost all of the fiber. Fiber is what slows down how quickly your body absorbs sugar. Without it, the natural sugar in that juice hits your bloodstream like a freight train. Your blood sugar spikes. Your body releases insulin. And over time, those repeated spikes cause inflammation inside your arteries. Frank used to drink a tall glass of orange juice every single morning. He thought he was being healthy. He was actually coating his arteries in a daily sugar spike that his 72-year-old body just couldn't handle anymore. And the worst part is, most doctors never ask about fruit juice. They ask about soda, about candy, about dessert, but they don't tell you that your morning glass of apple juice might be doing almost as much damage. Now, before you worry that you have to give up fruit entirely, stay with me, because there's a simple switch that changes everything. Eating whole fruit instead of drinking juice keeps the fiber intact. An orange has about 3 grams of fiber. A glass of orange juice has almost none. That small difference matters more than you think. The second food on our list is one of the biggest hidden dangers in the American kitchen: margarine, and certain vegetable oil spreads. I know this one surprises people because for decades, we were told margarine was healthier than butter. That turned out to be one of the biggest nutritional mistakes in modern medicine. The problem with many margarines and vegetable oil spreads is something called trans fats. Even the ones that say 0 grams of trans fat on the label can still have small amounts. And those small amounts add up, Trans fats don't just raise your bad cholesterol, they also lower your good cholesterol. And most importantly, they directly increase inflammation in your arteries. They make your blood stickier. They make plaque more likely to form. Frank used to spread margarine on his toast every morning. He thought he was protecting his heart. He was actually doing the opposite. So what should you use instead? Small amounts of real butter, olive oil, or avocado oil are much better choices. But like anything else, moderation matters. And here's a detail most people miss. The way you cook with oil matters just as much as which oil you choose. Heating certain vegetable oils to high temperatures creates harmful compounds that also damage your arteries. But we'll come back to that in a moment. The third food is probably sitting in your pantry right now. Canned soups and packaged broths. Not because soup is bad. Soup can be wonderful. But because of what's hiding inside those cans. Sodium. And not just a little sodium. Some single servings of canned soup contain more than half of your daily sodium limit. Some contain nearly an entire day's worth in just one bowl. Here's why that matters for your arteries. When you eat too much sodium, your body holds on to water to dilute it. That increases your blood volume. Increased blood volume means higher blood pressure. And high blood pressure is like taking a garden hose and crimping it halfway. The pressure inside the hose goes up. The walls of the hose get stressed. Over time, that stress damages the inner lining of your arteries, creating exactly the kind of rough spots where plaque loves to form. What doctors rarely explain is that you don't have to have diagnosed high blood pressure for sodium to be damaging your arteries. Even small elevations in blood pressure that fall within the so-called normal range can still cause damage over years and decades. And because symptoms don't appear until significant damage has already been done, most seniors never connect their canned soup habit to their artery health. The good news is there's an easy fix. Look for low sodium or no salt added versions. Or better yet, make your own soup at home where you control exactly how much salt goes in. Your arteries will thank you. The fourth food is something many seniors eat specifically because they think it's healthy. Processed white meat. Things like chicken nuggets, chicken patties, frozen breaded chicken products, even some deli turkey and chicken slices. Here's what the food industry doesn't advertise. Many of these products are loaded with added phosphates. Phosphates are preservatives that help processed meats stay moist and last longer on the shelf, but research has shown that high phosphate levels in your blood are directly linked to faster aging of your blood vessels. One study followed over 3,000 seniors and found that those with the highest phosphate levels had significantly more calcification in their arteries. That means their arteries were becoming hard and stiff, like old rubber hoses left out in the sun. Stiff arteries can't expand and contract the way they're supposed to. That forces your heart to work harder with every single beat. Frank used to eat frozen chicken patties at least 3 times a week. Quick, easy. He thought it was better than red meat. He had no idea that the phosphates in those patties were quietly making his arteries stiffer year after year. What's the alternative? Real, unprocessed chicken breast or thigh, cooked at home without breading and without preservatives? It takes a few extra minutes, but those minutes could add years to your life. The fifth food is one of the biggest sources of hidden sugar in the senior diet: flavored yogurt, especially the ones with fruit on the bottom or the ones marketed as low fat. Here's what the yogurt companies don't want you to know. When they take the fat out of yogurt, it tastes terrible. So they add sugar back in, lots of sugar. Some flavored yogurts have as much sugar as a candy bar. But wait, you might say it says made with real fruit. That's true. It's also true that the fruit is often swimming in sugary syrup. And all that sugar creates the same blood sugar spikes we talked about earlier. Spikes that lead to inflammation. Inflammation that damages your arteries. It's a chain reaction that starts with a spoon and ends with your heart. What should you eat instead? Plain, unsweetened Greek yogurt. It has more protein, less sugar, and no hidden surprises. Add your own fresh fruit if you want sweetness. That way you control exactly how much sugar goes in. And the healthy fats in plain yogurt are actually good for your heart, not bad. The sixth food might surprise you because it's often recommended for heart health. Certain commercial granolas and breakfast cereals. I know, it feels like every health article tells you to eat more whole grains, and whole grains are wonderful. But here's the catch. Most commercial granolas and cereals are absolutely loaded with added sugars. And not just obvious sugars like cane sugar. They hide under names like brown rice syrup, evaporated cane juice, molasses, honey, agave nectar. Your body doesn't care what you call it. Sugar is sugar. 1 cup of some granola cereals contains more sugar than a glazed donut. And because granola feels healthy, people tend to eat larger portions. That means even more sugar, even more inflammation, even more damage over time. What's the solution? Read the label. Look for cereals with less than 5 grams of sugar per serving. Or make your own oatmeal at home and sweeten it naturally with cinnamon and a small amount of fruit. That simple change can dramatically reduce the daily sugar load on your arteries. And now the seventh food. This one is going to sound strange because it's not a food you necessarily eat by itself. It's an ingredient hiding in thousands of products. Partially hydrogenated oil. Yes, it's been banned in many places, but it still shows up in certain packaged foods, coffee creamers, microwave popcorns, frozen pies, and some brands of peanut butter. Partially hydrogenated oil is the primary source of artificial trans fats. And as I mentioned earlier, trans fats are among the most damaging things you can put into your body when it comes to artery health. They don't just contribute to plaque formation. They actively promote inflammation throughout your entire cardiovascular system. Most seniors never check ingredient labels for partially hydrogenated oil because they assume it's gone. It's not entirely gone. And even small amounts, consumed consistently over years, add up to real damage. Frank had no idea that his morning coffee creamer and his occasional microwave popcorn were both sources of these harmful fats. He thought he was avoiding the big dangers. He didn't realize the dangers were hiding in plain sight. So what's the takeaway from all of this? It's not that you can never enjoy these foods again. That's not realistic, and that's not what I'm here to tell you. The message is awareness. Once you know what's hiding in your kitchen, you can make better choices. Not perfect choices, better choices. And better choices, made consistently over time, are what protect your arteries. Let me share something that gave Frank hope. After his scare, he started making small changes. He switched from juice to whole fruit. He replaced margarine with a small amount of olive oil on his toast. He started reading soup labels and choosing low-sodium options. He swapped his frozen chicken patties for real chicken breast. He switched to plain yogurt with fresh berries. He found a low-sugar cereal and started making his own oatmeal. And he threw away anything that still had partially hydrogenated oil in the ingredients. The results didn't happen overnight, but after 6 months his blood pressure was down, his cholesterol levels had improved, and most importantly, he felt better. He had more energy. He wasn't getting winded walking up the stairs. He wasn't afraid to play with his grandkids anymore. You see, the story of artery health isn't written in a single day. It's written in the small choices you make every morning, every meal, every week. And you have more power over that story than you've probably been told. If this video gave you something useful, something you can actually act on, I would genuinely love to hear from you in the comments. Tell me which of these 7 foods surprised you the most. Tell me if you've already made some of these changes in your own life. And if you know someone who might need to hear this, please share this video with them. You never know who is quietly worrying about their heart, wishing someone would just tell them the truth in plain English. Thank you for being part of this community. Thank you for caring about your health enough to keep learning. And remember, your arteries don't care how old you are. They only care how you treat them starting today.